He's kind of a utility person for Parks and Recreation, and in the sense of programs, facilities, activities, and events. Certainly, we couldn't do it without him, and greatly appreciate all your years of service, and hope we can have a few more of these down the road. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Jason. He's got some goodies for you, and including a check, and we appreciate your service to the city of Gardner and your dedication, and stick with us. We'd like to see you here for another 5 years or more.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Brett Hayes, who began his career as a police officer with the Gardner Police Department 5 years ago. 10 years ago, Officer Hayes. I said there might be hiccups, so congratulations on 10 years of service. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Officer Hayes before. Of course, he doesn't get the happy, smiling job that Kathy Wilmoth has as police clerk, but you know, the entirety of the Gardner Police Department gets recognized by our citizens to me on a regular basis for their professionalism and their thoughtful and compassionate execution of their duties. So I want to thank you for that. And Captain Chief Moore, would you please come say a couple words about Brett, please?
Well, Brett came to us, like I said, 10 years ago. He was actually one of the initial officers that we hired off of the COPS grant. The federal government was supporting grants to put more officers on the street. He was one of the ones that we acquired for that. Over the last 10 years, Brett's worked his way up, basically as a senior officer status right now. So in the event that one of our sergeants is off and we need a supervisor covered, Brett's at that level now where he actually can help run a shift, so we can keep things going. On top of that, the city's involvement in the CARET program, the safety incentive that we have. Brett was sent to Texas to get certified as a Cooper instructor at the Cooper Institute, and annually does our Cooper assessment for the department, which is like a physical agility type assessment. It gives us certain points on our insurance for reduction of insurance for the city, I believe is how it works. But Brett's one of our instructors, but he's done a lot of good things for us, and on top of all that, he's, I think, sometimes a personal trainer for some of the officers on the side. There's some of the things he does, but he's been an extreme asset to the department, and has really come a long way in the last 10 years, and I do appreciate your service. And here's a couple of new stars for you.
Mary's got some tokens from the League of Kansas Municipalities as well as the city, including a little check. And again, congratulations on 10 years of service. Didn't realize that you were also possibly a personal trainer. Some of the elected officials might be able to use some of that as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up is Jay Belcher. He's a sergeant with the Gardner Police Department, and he was promoted to sergeant in 2000. And he's got 15 years of service with the PD and public safety before that. And I actually have an anecdote I can say about Sergeant Belcher. I hadn't moved to Gardner yet, but the rest of my family had, including my parents, who live over by Wynwood Park. Well, Jay lives up the street, and my father was having a little reaction to something, was in respiratory distress. And Sergeant Belcher had his radio on. He also had on his shorts and his flip-flops. But he ran the distance from his house to the house of my parents and took charge and rendered aid, and my folks still talk about it. So it was like Superman coming down the street wearing flip-flops. So congratulations on 15 years of service. And Chief, a couple words about
Well,
you.
Jason's another one that we hired on a cops grant, believe it or not, came to us, and actually after just 2 short years has made his way up to the rank of sergeant. Over this last bit of time, Jason's become very active within the department. There's a lot of things that we rely on him for. Since we've got a marathon of runs going on now at Celebration Park, usually Jason's the one that helps coordinate most of those. He could probably do them in his sleep. And then on top of that, he also acts as the training coordinator for our department, tracking everybody's training hours, classes and stuff he goes to. And then one of the many officers under me that all I got to do is ask if I need something, he's right there to do it. Once again, him along with everybody in the department is extreme asset to the department and makes it the professional department that it is today. Here's your 3 stars. For those that don't know, anytime you see somebody with the stars on their uniforms, each star represents 5 years of service. So when you see these stars on the uniforms, you'll know from now on what it is that they mean. You can count how many years they've actually been here. Thank you very much.
Mary's got a little something for you over there, including tokens of appreciation from the League of Kansas Municipality as well as the city, and including a little money. And again, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sergeant Walker. All right. Our last person up is Cindy Weeks. I saw you come in. I knew you were out there someplace. Cindy's by far got the longest paragraph here. So she's actually held several positions with the City of Gardner in her 15 years of service to the city. Cindy began in 1998 as an administrative assistant in Community Development Department. In 2004, she became the Planning Services Specialist in Community Development. She transferred to Public Works in 2007 as an administrative assistant, and most recently returned to the Community Development Department as a codes inspector back in February of this year. Cindy also has the blessing or curse of being one of the real public faces of the city, and we appreciate you and your customer service level to the people that are here hoping to locate here, build here, or solve a problem that they might be having. I know that especially when it comes to codes, it's a thankless job, but we certainly appreciate your dedication. So thank you very much on your 15 years of service. Mary's got, hold on a second. Mike, would you like to say a few words about your time here with Cindy? And I realized she came back to the department right about the time that you got started here.
Yes. Yeah, one thing I was going to say is I've known Cindy long enough to get to know her pretty well, which is since February 11th. And one thing I really appreciate is Cindy's institutional knowledge of what goes on at the city. That's been very helpful to me. One thing I will say about Cindy is she's very straightforward, direct, but in a very good way, and has been very helpful with our little department of 3 people, now 5 people, hopefully be 2 more people as we build. So I also know that Cindy does things outside of work that are very important. She renders a lot of community service. I know that the one thing that might be a little more important to her than her job is being a grandmother. And so, anyway, I really appreciate Cindy, and I'm glad to have her on our team. She's had to roll with a lot of changes and with a lot of, done that with a lot of patience and forbearance. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mary's got tokens of appreciation from the League of Kansas Municipalities as well as the city in the check. And thank you again so much. And everybody, a round of applause for this time. We're going to take a short break so that you all can have an opportunity to congratulate our people on their years of service. There's coffee, cookies,